Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Davi Kallman, but you can call me Davi. I am the Director of Access Services over at Tacoma Community College, but I also consider myself a disability activist, an advocate, and a cat mom, of course. A little bit about my description. I am a Mexican woman with curly brown hair. I have my hair up in a bun, and I have curly brown bangs. I'm wearing a floral shirt with silver dangly earrings. A little more about myself and why I am talking to you about networking and mentorship. First of all, it's very important to me as an educator of people with disabilities and also as a person with disabilities myself. As an individual with dyslexia, I grew up struggling with what it meant to network appropriately and then also knowing how to secure a mentor. Throughout the years, I've developed a series of skills and tools that have helped me become not only a better mentee, but helped me become a better mentor over the years. And I'm hoping that my session here today will give you more information of how to, one, secure a mentor and how to be a better mentee. Securing mentors and networking as a person with a disability can be difficult. It's difficult because there aren't a lot of resources out there specifically targeting networking for people with disabilities. It is not seen as something that is important, but it definitely is. Thanks to a lot of resources out there, like the Disability Empower Her Network, there are organizations that are currently working to help not only people with disabilities, but young women with disabilities to be better mentors and to be better mentees to people around them. So how do you become a better mentee, mentor, if you have a hard time communicating? Well, the answer is simple. There is no right way to do things. And through this session, I'll talk about different ways that you can learn how to communicate, both verbal and nonverbal communication skills, and different platforms for networking. So during this session, I want to talk to you and give you an overview on mentoring and what networking I will be covering. I will be talking to you about identifying your mentor, so how to identify a potential mentor. I will explain how to identify if a mentor is right for you. I will also talk about how asking someone to be your mentor and tips and tricks from the field. We will also be going over building your professional network and your personal network, how to network as a person with a disability, also going over different ways to network, and lastly, how to be a good mentee and how to maintain that relationship with your mentor. Before I delve into these different topics, I want to talk to you about my own experience. One from someone who has been a mentee, and then the other one from someone who's been a mentor to countless people with disabilities throughout the years. As a person who has a disability but also was a PhD candidate at the time in the Murrow College of Communication, it was very important to me that I met other scholars in the communication and disability field. As I started to conduct my own research and post my projects and articles about disability out into the country, I started getting contacts from researchers within the disability and communication field. The first person to contact me was Dr. Beth Holler. Dr. Beth Holler is one of the leading scholars in disability and media and communication. She works at Townsend University and is one of my favorite people in the world. Before Beth reached out to me, I had read countless books and articles that she had written. To have this superstar within the disability and communication field was super important to me and made me a little starstruck, to be honest. Beth actually was the one who reached out to me, so sometimes this may happen to you, and it's very important to understand how to react next if this does happen. Beth did reach out to me and was explaining how important my research was to the field and how it'd be great if we connected. Of course, I couldn't say no to that. I did email Beth back as soon as I could. I was professional as possible. And in that email, I explained how she has been a research hero to me for a long time and how I'd love to have the opportunity to connect with her if she was able. Beth responded back as soon as possible, letting me know that she was going to our national communication conference and that she would like to meet up with me. That being said, she's a research superstar. I didn't know how much was going to come of it. So here I was presenting poster at one of our national conferences, and Beth came up, listened to me present, and hung out with me for about 2 hours after my presentation, just talking about communication research. This was such a big deal to me, and that made me realize right then and there that she was the perfect mentor to me. This is someone who dedicated her time to listen to my presentation and also gave me the time of day, even though she is a research superstar. I knew that this is someone I could count on. So after talking to her for a couple of hours, we met up throughout the conference the next couple of days. We got lunch, and we continued our relationship over the years. Beth and I have been friends now for about 5 to 6 years, and we continue to keep in touch. We meet at conferences, we text, we Facebook, we email, and something that I'm very cognizant of through Beth for her help throughout the years is I make sure to be able to send her care packages. Her time and the effort that she spent with me to make me a better researcher and a better disability scholar is important to me. And so I want to show her I want to show her how thankful I am by sending her little care packages. So that's something that you can do as a good mentee, is to thank your mentor. Send thank you notes, send little care packages. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money, but it does show them that you care. So that is my perspective from someone who has experienced a great mentor. Now I'm going to go from the other end of that and talk about what my experience has been as a great mentor. And I have 2 experiences that I'd like to talk about, but one in particular that's really important to me is someone that is in the disability field that I have worked with in the capacity as them serving as an intern, and someone who's continued to work with me even after they finished their work with the Access Center at Washington State University. So what makes a good mentee? From the perspective of a mentor, a good mentee makes the effort, will reach out to you, express their interests and how the interests align with you and your goals. They take the effort to do research. And in this case, I will not mention my mentee's name, but my mentee did research me, research what I did, and took the time to get to know me before they reached out. Once my mentee reached out to me, they wanted to meet with me in person before we talked about how an internship would work, and after that they asked if I would serve as their mentor. With all the initial effort that they made through that process, I could not say no. I was so impressed with the effort that they had made. This individual worked for me for a total of 1 year, and after that year was finished, that was about 3 years ago, we still keep in touch and we talk to each other probably once a week. This is a great example of how you can continue relationship with your mentor even after an internship or a project has been completed. A mentor-mentee relationship does not have to end after an initial project or some sort of event that you're doing. It can continue throughout the years. And one way to maintain that is constant communication. And you can communicate with your mentee or mentor in different ways. It can be over the phone, it can be via email, via text. Whatever you establish together is important. So those are 2 of my stories that I think was a great introduction to how a mentor-mentee relationship can work. What I'd like to now do is go over tips and tricks that I've learned throughout the years to help make you a better mentee and to learn how to secure a mentor. So identifying your mentor can be difficult, especially if you don't know what you're looking for. That's why it's so important to be able to know what you're looking for. There's a couple of tips and tricks that I'd like to share with you so you can learn how to identify your mentor. Number 1, having shared interests and goals. Your mentor should share the same interests and goals as you. If they don't, that may mean you're going in the wrong direction. If you do not have any common interests, you may want to look with someone who does. Number 2, have good traits. In general, the person that you want to select as your mentor should be a good person. It should be someone who's a good listener. They should encourage people, not put them down. They should be willing to learn from their mentees just as much as they are teaching you. If they do not have any of these traits, or even just one of these traits, they may not be a good fit for you. The third one, experience and wisdom. A good mentor should be someone who has a lot of experience in something that you want to do, something that you're passionate about. The amount of time that someone puts into the field is not as necessarily as important as what they have accomplished in that amount of time. What does that mean? That means that someone can be a good mentor even if they've been in the field for just 2 years. Be looking at what they have accomplished in those years. It does not matter how long they've been in there. Number 4, accessibility. A good mentor is someone who should be accessible and willing to meet with you whenever you are available. Now, that being said, mentors can be very busy. They have a lot of responsibilities. So they may not be able to meet with you all the time, but they should be able to meet with you some of the times. Do some initial research. Be looking to see if they've had other mentees in the past. You can reach out to previous mentees that they've had and see what their experience was. This is something I personally did when I was a PhD candidate. What I did when I was looking to select my advisor, my mentor in the program, someone who I'd worked with a long time, I looked to see what the track record was with other advisees that they have had advised throughout the past. Some mentors did not do a great job, and so I avoided even looking at them as a possibility in a mentor. I was asking all over to see what their experiences were, and I ended up finding the best mentor I could ever pick in my life. Dr. Erica Austin has been the most wonderful person, as someone who I consider a mentor, a friend, my research mom, and that is because I did my research. I went above and beyond to see how she treated other advisees throughout the years. And the experiences that other advisees told me ultimately made the final decision for me is if I wanted to work with her. So doing that initial research can make a huge difference and make it a lot easier for you to determine if they are the right person for you. So next is identifying if a mentor is right for you. How do you do that? Number 1, be able to know your own goals. Before you go and reach out to a potential mentor, be prepared. Make sure to identify your goals. Be thinking about what you want to accomplish personally and professionally. How will that mentor be able to help you accomplish your personal and professional goals? What is your dream profession? This will help you identify your goals. What type of job or profession would you like in the future? When looking for a mentor, it's very important to look at their professional and personal journey. Did you have similar resources available to you? What about similar experiences? If there are no similarities at all between your journeys, both professionally and personally, that might not be the right fit for you. So being able to identify what you want to do and how you want to do it is just as important as anything else. What about asking someone to be your mentor? This is the next important step. Once you've finally identified your mentor based on shared goals and responsibilities, it is important to prepare to ask them to be your mentor. Having a plan in place can make everything much easier for you, especially if you have a hard time communicating. So there's 2 different ways I like to split this up. One is asking someone to be your mentor in person versus asking someone online. If you're asking someone in person, have a script available. Make sure you have an agenda or a script detailing what you want to discuss with your potential mentor. Make sure you have shared goals in that script and how be upfront of what you need from them and what they can expect from you. That's very important in the first initial meeting. Mention what you like about their work. Compliment them. It's really important that they understand you did the research and you actually know what they do. Mention what you have in common. This is a great opportunity to discuss your passions and how they relate. Also very important in an in-person meeting, make sure that you set up reoccurring meetings. If it was a really great initial meeting, those reoccurring meetings will make sure that the relationship is much stronger. Also, be flexible. Remember, you're working on their time and their schedule. They are helping you, not the other way around. If you will be needing accommodations at any of these meetings, make sure you provide them. That is not something that they need to do, as they are providing a service for you. When you're asking someone to be a mentor, your mentor online, There's 3 different platforms you can do this. I'd like to say that the least preferable platform would be through social media. Really avoid social media platforms for asking someone to be your mentor. This includes Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, unless you already know the person and you already have a relationship with them, or you can guarantee that your social media accounts are professional. Not everyone's accounts are professional, and that's why I say to avoid it. If you go via email, this is typically my preferred method. Make sure that you message them with sample templates that I've provided for you featured on this webpage. These templates will help you on how to message someone that you know and someone you don't know. Another great way to ask someone to be your mentor is through a networking platform such as LinkedIn. This is a great way to build professional relationships, especially for people who don't like networking in person or communicating verbally. A pro tip with that, if you currently don't have a LinkedIn account, please make sure to create one. Very important. I provided tips on how to make your account better, but the most important thing is to build your network, build it fast, and then have an appropriate tagline that fits with what you do. So you've secured your mentor. Now what? It's really important, if you want to maintain the relationship, to follow these tips and tricks that I've learned throughout the years. Number 1, meet consistently. To maintain the relationship that you have with your mentor or mentors, it is important to meet often. Since you're going on a schedule and availability that they give you, this may often be determined by them, but that's okay. Oftentimes I find people ask me, what happens if you have scheduled meetings and the mentor keeps canceling them or they never respond back? That's a really good question. One way to address that is to send gentle reminders. You can send a gentle reminder email. You can give a call and just say, hi, I was thinking of you, wondering when you were next able to meet. Also, writing the occasional thank you note does help spur and remind them why you were a great mentee to begin with. Next is being able to set an agenda. Remember that your mentor's time is very valuable. It's very important. Be mindful of that and plan accordingly. Make an agenda of what you would like to talk about before each meeting. This will help you organize your thoughts and will help streamline the conversation. Next is to be able to take notes. Mentors' time, as I mentioned before, is very busy. I know your time's busy too. So it may be beneficial for you to either take notes or to record your meeting sessions. Remember, if you're going to record your meeting sessions, you do need to get permission from your mentor beforehand. This can help you stay on track and also allow you to be on track with what happened in the meeting and to be able to email your mentor and fill them in on what you discussed so you can keep on track. Remember that goals still matter. If you establish some goals and plans at the initial conversation, make sure to stick with them. You do not want to seem as someone who is unreliable or someone who does not stick with what they said they're going to do. You just have as much a responsibility to your mentor as they have to you, so keep that in mind. Remember to give back. I know I've mentioned this many times, but your mentor is giving you their time and their energy. If you are able, make sure to give back to them periodically. You can do this with small gifts, tokens. If you don't have any money, that's totally okay. A small thank you note means everything in the world to your mentor. The last thing I'd like to discuss today is networking. Networking as a person with a disability can be difficult. I'm not going to lie, there are some challenges. And these are not inclusive of all the challenges that are available, but things that I've identified throughout the years. Some challenges for in-person networking events for people with disabilities include physical space being inaccessible. A lot of times people with sensory overload issues may have experienced that at networking events. Oftentimes there are not spaces available for someone to go to. Navigating social dynamics can be difficult, especially if it's difficult to read verbal cues. Lack of accommodations at networking spaces is pretty much commonplace. And often people may talk to your personal assistant or your interpreter instead of talking to you. And that is a huge problem that I hope we can avoid with some tips and tricks that I've learned. So common tips and tricks for in-person networking, including Include communicating your accessible needs. Do not be afraid to contact the networking event organizer early to ask for accommodations. Make sure that you find a wing person at the event. A wing person can be someone to tag along with you as needed to help you meet new people. A wing person is someone that you meet at the event, someone you feel comfortable with. This is different than bringing a friend. Bringing a friend can be simple as bringing a partner, a peer, someone from your class, someone you are comfortable with who can help you spur conversation. Make sure to have a plan. You can have an agenda mapped out on the type of people that you want to network with. Plan ahead. You can even contact the event organizer in advance to see who is expected. You can even get a guest list and say that is a reasonable accommodation. Be prepared. Have a list of 3 questions to ask each person so you do not have to come up with things on the spot. These 3 questions can be more serious type questions like why are you here? What's your job? What are your passions with your job? Then you can have 2 to 3 questions that are fun questions. An example of this can be what is your favorite vacation spot? What is your favorite food? This is a way to get the conversation going. Disclosure can be your friend. This might not be for everyone, but sometimes disclosing your disability can be a positive thing. You can begin the conversation by saying that you are a person with a disability. You can also work to manage questions about your disability gracefully if you don't feel comfortable with people asking you about them. Just be mindful that people may ask, and you have a right to answer their questions or gracefully, transition from those questions to something that you would like to talk about. One pro tip that I have learned throughout the years is a lot of times people who are neurodivergent, who do not like to communicate in a verbal way, have business cards that explain that on the card, and they give that to people when they ask them. Look at the body language. Oftentimes approach people who you know will engage. You can tell this by looking at the person. They're often looking at you in the eye and smiling. Thank you so much for listening to me today. I hope that these tips and tricks from the field help you to, 1, identify a mentor, be able to secure that mentor, maintain that relationship, and then network appropriately in the field. Thank you so much, and best of luck in your future endeavors.